Hey, Dawn.
Hey, Bonnie. So this is week 13 of our consultant confident, and we are talking about kind of like old school um, work today, right? Pre-profiling.
Pre-profiling. Like, who ever heard of that?
Well, we
Maybe
did
you
when we
haven't.
were new consultants,
We did, and we
right?
used it all the time. So, absolutely. And it
And
worked.
Bonnie, do you have a profile?
I do. I do.
And why do we want to start a profile on everyone?
Well, okay. This is a profile that consultants have that you would use at your facials when you get together with them. And it asks their age, their skincare needs. If they don't use moisturizer, what does their skin feel like? Areas
Yep.
of concern. So, for those of you who aren't really familiar, I'm interested in learning more about who would want your product list, wish list. Um, for those of you who aren't really familiar with it, if you flip this open, all the answers are inside. So
Yes.
when they circle an answer, they want to improve skin texture. It gives you four different things that could work for that. So it is quite the great thing to have. And you could use this at a party, like when you show up for a facial or a party. It's great because you get their information, you get their email, you get their phone, best time to contact, all those things, and then you can transfer it into your Mary Kay In Touch, so you have their information included for preferred customer program. But what Dawn and I are talking about today, so this would be, you could use this when you show up at a facial. You could do this beforehand. Dawn's circling. There's Dawn. Dawn is
Yeah,
back.
I'm here. Sorry.
I was like, where did she go? But you could use this information. But what Dawn and I are talking about is a way to confirm guests and really get a little bit of a commitment, get to develop that rapport with them that will ensure that they show up for the party. So we're talking about calling
Yes.
people ahead of time. I know.
Yep. Yep.
So Dawn, let's say
And
that
Bonnie,
somebody is your host. Go ahead.
you can either text them these questions or email. I mean, excuse me, text, email, or call. In the olden
Hmm.
days, we called everybody because we didn't have texting, we didn't have emails,
Hmm.
and I think we built really good connections with people. So that's one of the reasons why you might just want to call. And then if they don't answer, you can say, "You don't know who I am. I'm just going to text you the answers that I have related to the Mary Kay party that you're going to." So that way, one, in case they haven't been asked to go to the Mary Kay party.
Right. Like in my case, Phyllis asked me how many mirrors she should bring along, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't invite anybody yet."
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So that was
Yes.
that was the way Phyllis was going. Like, you can have more than you, and I was like,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh, how many trays of mirrors? How about four?" And I found four guests to come over.
Yes. Yes.
How's
Mm-hmm.
that for honesty? 40 years later.
Yep.
So when you let's say that you have a hostess. Let's say that I'm your hostess and my party is, I just booked a facial with you or, I'm going to have my friends over and you want to get my guest list. What would you say to me to get that?
Well, first of all, right after I booked you, I would say, Bonnie, I'm going to give you 48 hours. I want you to write down the names of the people who you are going to invite. And that way it gets you thinking about who you want to invite. And when you call them in
Mhm.
48 hours, if they forgot to start inviting, at least you can catch it before the night before the party. So
Right.
then I would help them think about coworkers, people they work with, neighbors, family. If you're doing a virtual party, that's a little bit different because I would still pre profile, even if it's virtual, or if you're doing it with or without samples. You just want to get this information with people because the more information you get from these people, the more connected they are to you. You are
Mhm.
somebody to them. So, it's just setting it up saying, Bonnie, the next step is I'm going to call you in 24 to 48 hours to get your guest list. Then you're going to do that. And then if she has a guest list, great, get their names and either cell phones or emails. And if she hasn't, then you're going to go back to helping her think about who she can invite and getting her
Mhm,
re-enrolled and engaged in what is she getting as the hostess gift.
mhm,
So sometimes you have to
mhm.
bring it back to that. So
That's great. Okay, so now let's say that you, well, I remember learning, and you know what? Repetition is just
yes,
listening and hearing. And I remember, I'm going to show Nancy Jo Barati. She had taught a
yes.
class on pre-profiling, and I listened to it on my little cassette recorder. Like this is like a long time ago, but I never forgot it. I mean, here I am years later talking about it. But I would call guests, and I would just say, hi, is this Dawn?
Yes, it
you know,
is.
if she answers, Dawn, you don't know me personally, but we have a mutual friend, Susie Q. I'm doing the party, Mary Kay party for her
And she told
on
me you were going to be calling me.
Perfect. That's great. So right there, what you did is you confirmed that she's a guest, that she
Yes.
knows when the date is. We're doing the
hmm
party on Wednesday at seven
Yep.
o'clock. So yeah, I'm so excited. So I had a couple questions for you.
Okay.
Uh, Dawn, would you say your skin is more normal to dry, combination oily? What kind of skin do you have?
Combo oily.
Okay, great. And then you can fill out this little card for her or put it
Yep.
wherever you want it to be, but you can fill that out. You don't necessarily have to ask her all these questions because she can finish filling that out when she gets there. So you can write
Yes.
her name on it and just kind of start it. Um, Dawn, are you using a skincare program right now?
Yeah, I'm using Clinique.
Oh, great. Well, they have great products. So I'll
Yes.
be anxious to get your opinion of it. So
Great.
right there, I developed like, oh, like you make good choices. You're using a good
Yes.
product.
hmm
I
Yep.
can't wait to get your opinion. So I didn't say, ooh, I can't wait for you to try ours, like bad. You are acknowledging that she has good choice in taking care of her skin. So you're
hmm
developing that rapport with her. Um, Dawn, if you could change anything about your skin, what would you change?
Um, I would like just a light foundation, Bonnie.
Okay, perfect. We can help you with that.
Yep.
And
hmm
then, I ask if her skin is ivory, beige, or bronze, so you kind of know what
Yep.
type of
I'm
foundation that would
ivory,
be.
and I have green
Okay,
eyes.
perfect. Okay,
Hazelish eyes.
perfect.
Yep.
Okay.
hmm
Dawn, can you think of any other questions that you would ask?
Um, no, I would just say I think it's really you did everything. Skin type, color, um, anything that they'd like to change, because what's going to happen is because you've asked her those questions, she's more likely to want to come because she's had some engagement with you. And maybe
Mhm.
maybe I want to see if you're going to show me how to do the foundation. So it just
Now,
really makes it personal.
sorry, when
No,
if
that's okay.
Dawn would have said, you know what, I have green eyes, I'm never really sure what colors to wear. I would love to learn how to play up my eyes. And you're in your mind, you're going, this is your first facial. We're not going to do a whole bunch of glamour. Like,
No.
you're like, so you go, great. Oh my gosh, I can't wait to show you some things about that. What
Yes.
that is when you are together with her at the party,
Yes.
you might say to her, Dawn, oh my gosh, I can't wait to get together and personalize a look for your green eyes. So
Yes.
you are like engaging her for her next. Today, we're going to focus
Yes.
more on skincare, but I can't wait to
Yes.
get together with you and teach you about your eyes. So you're kind of using that information you get even as future
Yes.
appointments. Okay.
So, Bonnie, let's say I don't show up. Okay. Let's
Oh,
say my
yeah.
son got sick and I couldn't be at the party. Then you could call me back and say, you know what, you were missed at Susie Q's party. And I know you wanted to help with your foundation. When in the next 2 weeks can I sit down with you to do that? So that gives you a reason to call them back. So it's all
Hmm.
good.
Yes.
Yes.
So once I ask her questions, I kind of like we leave it up to the hostess that we think that she's going to tell our guests everything they need to know, which isn't true. So the advantage of pre-profiling, what I'll say then is, oh, by the way, There's no obligation, of course, to purchase anything, but I will have products along in case there's something you can't resist. So
Yep.
right there, you're telling her she can buy things that night
Yes.
and there's
Yep.
no obligation. So you're kind of taking the pressure
Yes.
off, but telling her to bring her
Hmm.
credit card, kind of in her
Yes.
indirect way.
Yes.
So there's no obligation to buy anything, but I will have products in case there's something you can't resist. We'll be starting the party at 7 p.m. sharp. It'll last probably about an hour. So you'll get there just a little bit early so we can get all set up. So you're telling her, show up early. It's going to take about an hour. So you're telling her everything that you hope a hostess would tell her. So
Yes.
you are the girl that's
Yes.
taking care of it.
And Bonnie, I had to laugh because as I was asking you, what questions do you ask for pre-profiling? I was in one of my sheets, one of my training sheets, and I was copying and pasting, and it was the same questions, not in the same order you ask, but it doesn't matter. You and I both were taught the same things.
Mhm,
You about 40 years ago, me about 31 years ago, but it's so funny. And it's not funny, but I am just so impressed that our training has not changed. It is still relevant in the world
mhm,
where we sit down with one person, or if we do this virtually, the more you can connect with somebody, it makes them feel connected to you and it makes
mhm,
you personal. Where the woman at the um, Macy's counter is not personal.
mhm.
Mhm.
And she
Yes.
might not be, I mean, yeah,
No,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
no.
Um, Dawn, what about the Skin Analyzer app? Do you use that at all for pre-profiling, or do you send them the link for it, or is that something that you would incorporate? Because the world's a little bit different. Or your website, do you like send any of that information?
Bonnie, okay, I'm going to take a breath because as a consultant, you're watching
Mhm,
this and we do not want to overwhelm you. Okay. Um,
mhm,
First, you want to set up a facial. Then you want to ask her, is there any reason why you can't invite a few friends? And if that works and pre profiling works, stick with that. Okay. If you need, if you're warm chattering and you connect with somebody to say, hey, we've got this fun app that can take a picture of
mhm.
you, then once you, because
You're
I'm
breaking up,
rotating, there I go. Just, just, can you hear me?
kinda. Yeah, I think we can now. Maybe.
Can you hear me? Just
Now we can. Now we can. Well, while we're waiting for Dawn to come back, I'm going to say if you're a consultant and you're using the Skin Analyzer app and it's like a tool that you love, feel free to share it with somebody. If it's not something that
yes,
you're familiar with, you don't have to. Or if somebody says, "Oh, I can't wait to see what you have," or "I used Mary Kay years ago,
yes,
would you like a link to my website before the party?" You can send her a
yes,
link to your website so she can check
yes.
things out. So there's no right or wrong about that.
No,
It's just what you are like. If you're comfortable doing it and that's your thing, then feel free to do that.
exactly.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
And I just
most
think some of it
importantly,
is,
just connect.
yeah. And that's what I mean. This is just one avenue of getting information and keeping those profiles. You could lose that profile for a year, pick it up and call her back and re-engage with her because you remember her from that
Mhm,
party. So those profiles are worth their weight in gold, Bonnie. Wouldn't you
mhm.
agree?
Yes, absolutely.
So, all right. So I
All
guess
right.
we challenge you to start to gathering information on profiles from people. Mhm.
And I just want to throw this out there. If you book somebody for a facial and it's not a party, you can still pre-profile her. Say, "Hey, I just had a couple questions before I came over,"
Yes.
and you can ask
Yep.
her these questions and modify it to a facial. So if you have facials booked and you want to use this just as a warm up, that's great. Um, but it works great for parties too. So it's just a great way to connect and build that rapport to let them know that you really do care about their skin and them.
And Bonnie, that way when you're packing your inventory for your party, you can set a miracle set of their skin type in front of them because possession is 9/10 of the law.
As you know.
So if I have that in front of me, then I'm more apt to buy it. So yes, that's one of the reasons why it makes our packing easier
Yeah.
as well. So, all right, Bonnie,
All right.
I'm
Well
going to
done.
go to my appointment right now. So we look
Well,
forward to
you
being
go have
next week.
fun.
Yes. All right. Thank you, my friend. Bye bye.
Bye, everyone.